my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story.
Hey everybody, how we doing? Welcome back. Once again, Words from the Wise. Looking forward to bringing another great conversation to y'all. Authentic leadership, and today I got a real one in the room. I got my man. He's a USS Ashland veteran. He's been down with me since 2000 and I believe it's 18, but it might have been 16. We gotta follow up on that. My man, Big T, Terrence Harmon. T, what's
Hey,
good, man?
what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Hey man, I kind of lost my years for a second. Were we
Uh-huh.
on Ashland in 2016?
Yeah, I got there at 15, and Steve Brunder had to come, and then you came in 16. Yep.
Damn, bro, so we've been knowing each other for like 9 years now.
Yeah, man.
Woo, time flies,
What's up?
man. Time flies. That's
What's up?
crazy. It don't feel like it was that long ago.
Yep. Been
Yeah,
kicking
it
it that
does
long,
not. It doesn't feel like it was that. This is that's the USS Ashland's East Wasp pennant. That after I left Ashland, Pat German and Steve Wasson sent that to me. That's
brother.
the
Right.
one that we actually lowered, right? And then raised it up again. And you were my East Wasp coordinator, I believe,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yeah, it
we had,
was.
bro, I never forget when I had to go up and tell the captain we were lowering the pennant. He was at the time that CO. He was just like, "What do you mean, Master Chief?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Bro, sir, the program is defunct. It's not a thing. We're gonna fix it, but
Yeah.
step one is admitting we got a problem,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
And sending a message to the crew that we're not gonna misrepresent what we say we about." Uh, that ship right there, bro. We'll get into it, I'm sure, but we put a clinic on. We put
Oh
a
yeah.
clinic on
Oh
Ashland,
yeah.
man, for sure.
East
All
Swash
right,
Rodeo.
T. He saw rodeo, remember that?
Yeah.
All right, Big T Harmon, man. Uh, Terrence, are you born and raised in Alabama?
Correct. Talladega, Alabama, man.
Talladega, Alabama. So
Yeah.
looking back on your childhood coming up, is Talladega a big city, or is it like medium, or is it like country?
The country. Blink, you go. Hey, you're missing everything if you blink. All we have is the speedway. Talladega 500.
Okay.
That's all we have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Very
a
small.
lot of the community, is it got jobs at the Speedway? Is it a lot of people that have worked there? Or is that really the people that live there don't really mess with it? And it's more about people that come from out of town.
Yeah, more people come out of town. We have a lot of mills there, such as Kimberly Clark, Georgia Pacific, Crown Textile, things of that nature.
Do you know how your family got to Talladega? Like, how do they end up in that part of Alabama? Were they always just been there since the beginning of your
Yeah,
family's history?
yeah, the
Or
Harmon,
did they move there?
yeah, the family, Harmon family, born and raised right there in Talladega, Alabama.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I
my
mean,
mom.
you got deep roots.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
And all your family's Alabama fans, or you got some Auburn fans up in there?
Die hard Bama fans. Die
All
hard.
of them diehard
Oh
Bama
yeah,
fans.
die hard.
Okay,
Die.
no, so no
Yeah.
civil war between Bama and Auburn at your house.
No, not at all. Not at all, brother.
What is it about that part of Alabama being Alabama fans? Is it just like the location? Is it the culture of Alabama? Like, what was it? And I say this because I know how much of being an Alabama fan is a big part of your life, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
you are really about that life. You
Oh
and
yeah.
Jeff Brooks were two of the people that I first met that was like serious about college sports
Yeah.
in general, but really college football.
Right. I would say, like you said, you're either going to be an Auburn or a Bama fan. I think
Mhm.
most of the Auburn fans was when Bo Jackson was there. You know, when Bo Jackson was running the ball for Auburn. But my dad just strictly raised us Bama fans. You know, me growing up as the only
Okay.
child, so that's all I knew. That's all I knew was Bama, Bama, Bama.
So you say you're an only child.
Oh yeah, only one.
Did you have like a lot of cousins in your area of Talladega?
Oh yeah, plenty of cousins. Yeah, yeah, we did. Yeah.
So growing up as a kid, did you have like a big family where y'all did a lot of stuff together, or was it really just you, your mom, and your dad kind of just functioning in the house?
No, like so on the weekends, yeah, I would go hang out with my cousins or whatever. Yeah. So like
Okay.
the country part of Alabama, it was, a lot of kids growing up down there. So I did grow up with a lot of kids around, not having brothers and sisters. And my parents kind of had me at an older age. My parents had me at 41. Both of them were
Okay.
41. Both of them were born in 1936. So, yeah.
That's interesting. What do you know the story behind what caused them to have children later in life? Did they get married later in life?
Dated for a long time, and yeah, they did get married later in life.
Okay.
Yeah. I was born in 75, man.
I mean, because I think about it right now. I'm 48. Lincoln is 11. Man, if I would have had my first kid at 41, like my parenting
Yeah.
style
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
completely different, right?
Yep.
Vice me like when
Exactly.
I was 29 when I had Hayden.
Right.
So growing up with older parents, do you think that was an advantage or do you think that was a disadvantage? Do you have a perspective on that?
Uh, I've always been told I was an old soul, so I kind of think it was an advantage. It made me, mature, at an early
I
age.
see
And
that.
I lost my parents at an early age. Well, not my dad, but I lost my mom at an early age. I lost her in 11th grade in 92. So you figure I was born in 75 and lost her in 92.
Damn. Was
Yeah.
that all? Were you caught off guard when she passed, or was it something y'all
Oh,
kind of saw
yeah.
coming because of medical?
Yeah. No. Heart attack, man. Had a heart attack in 93. I done a year at Troy State University and went on to join the Navy in 94.
Okay, so here you are in high school. In high school, what is your thing? Are you big into sports? Are you big into
Yeah.
athletics, or are you more into
Yeah.
like talking to the girls? Like, cause
Sports guy.
what year you said what year were you in high school again?
92. I was a junior in high school. It was spring break. I remember it just like yesterday, Gary. Spring break, we had a spring baseball game going on and woke up that morning.
Yeah.
So it's called midnights. I think we call it I think, now they call it graveyard shift. But my dad worked at Kimberly Clark. And he
Right.
had we called it midnights. And he got off and came home, and I was getting ready to get up to get ready for the game. And he just came in like, "What's wrong with my wife? What's wrong with my wife?" She was just laying there in bed, man. She was gone.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
sometimes that in my mind, something like that, you just got to give that to God, man, because
Oh,
it just ain't no other answer. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no other way to make sense of it.
right.
And my heart goes out to him because I couldn't imagine walking in finding my wife. Oh my God.
Right.
And how did you and him recover from that going forward? Did that make y'all stronger together, or did that add complication in y'all relationship?
Well, we were always close, mama's boy and pretty much daddy's boy,
Mhm.
it made us a little bit closer. But I mean, right after then, I just went on off to the Navy, because I had my high school girlfriend. I had high school girlfriend pregnant. And I was like, okay, I got to do something for this guy. I'm not gonna be no deadbeat around here. And I went on and joined. I done
But
that
you
year at
said you
Troy
went
State.
to college. But you said you went to college first, right?
Right. Done a year at Troy State University and wasn't doing nothing in school. Wasn't doing anything in school. And so when I was like, yeah, let me join this Navy.
So for your girlfriend and y'all having a baby, did that happen while you were at Troy State, or did that happen while you were still in high school?
So I was coming out of high school, but she was a junior. She was behind me. So it was her
Right.
senior year, and I was at Troy State. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at Troy State when
And,
he was born. Mm-hmm.
and that's your oldest baby. That's your oldest
Right.
child.
Right. He's 31 now.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I got a son
Crazy,
who's about to
crazy.
be 18 years old,
Yeah,
man. And I'm
I
just
know.
like, bro,
I
what do you
know.
do with an adult child, man?
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember
Okay,
that
so you at
for
Troy
him when he was like
State.
7. Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
So I remember yours when he was like 6 or 7.
Oh, bro. Yeah, it's
So time is fun.
life is life, and bro. Life is
Bro.
life.
Yeah.
So you have your baby, you have a son, you're recognizing that Troy State's not doing what did you hope Troy State was gonna be?
So this is how it happened, man. My backstory. My mom worked at the Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind, Helen Keller, right? So that's in Alabama as well. That's right there in Talladega, Alabama. So she used to work for the chancellor, Dr. Jack Hawkins. He was the chancellor at Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind.
Okay.
He took over the chancellor at Troy State. So I had a free ride down there because she kept his kids, coming up in the South back then, keeping kids, and that gave me a free ride. But I was partying, wasn't doing anything, I had lost her, so reckless. I was reckless. wasn't doing anything. You know, I wasn't thinking
Mhm.
about no school or anything. Just out there partying. Little 18-year-old going to Auburn, going to Leeds, all these places, just traveling around with, you know, other young kids down there. I was like, this ain't it for me. When I knew
Right.
I could do it. And I got a son coming.
So, what made you think? Did you just instantly think Navy?
I tried the Air Force. They wouldn't accept. I don't know why they wouldn't accept me because I know I cut like a 72 on the ASVAB. It was something that they wouldn't accept. And I know I had
Okay.
done you know, you do the 4 years of high school, 4 years of ROTC in high school, but I definitely just didn't want to go Army. I knew I could have got into the Army, and because all of ours in Alabama are right together, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Damn sure I wasn't going to the Marines. So I was like, all right, let's do the Navy.
So, when you were in high school, you did the JROTC program.
Oh yeah, done 4 years, 4 years straight. Yeah,
4 years. Okay.
Army.
And so that definitely is an advantage for you going into the military because you got an
Right.
idea kind of already how that works. Okay.
Exactly.
And you come in with a little bit
C3.
higher of rank as long as
Right.
you pick the right service, right? If you
Right.
mess around and go to the Marine Corps, they only gonna give you E2,
Right.
right?
Right.
They hardcore, man. But if you
Right.
come to the Army or to the Navy, they'll give you E3. And you said you went
Correct.
to the Air Force first, and for whatever reason that didn't pan out. And then Navy was
Yeah.
your second choice because you didn't want to do the Army.
Right. Right. Right.
What was it about the Army you didn't like? Was it just the thought of like camping out in tents and sleeping outside? Or
No,
was
because
it
I was used to that because I mean, just growing up, you know, I was a country boy in the woods anyway. I think it was just the
okay?
4 years of doing it in high school. Just wanted to try something different in the Navy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, man. For me, my dad was the Navy, which is one piece, but the other piece was I would get taken camping as a kid and all that. And for me, it wasn't that much fun, man, because we didn't have no damn money to do it right. We was,
Right. Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like it was horrible.
Right.
We sleep in a tent for what, bro? Like it's
Yeah.
a tent. Whatever. Let's
Yeah.
just go home. So for
Yeah.
me, when I was looking at the different branches to join, one of the things that I like, besides the fact the recruiter got to me first, right?
Mhm.
The recruiter got me, but I enjoyed the idea there was going to be hot water and showers and stuff, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, so you get to the recruiter, you get to join the Navy. Did you leave right away, or did you have to wait a while to go?
Let's see. That school that summer. I mean, that year was out in what, like May of April. I left in December. Yeah. Once I got all my paperwork stuff was right. Yeah. Yeah. I left in December 19th, actually. Well, December
And
12th. So my actual date was
when
December
you
19th.
shipped off, so when you shipped out, you had your baby already. But was you and the baby's mom, were y'all married, or y'all still with just boyfriend, girlfriend, or
Just boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay.
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mhm. All right. And so you go to boot camp. Where'd you go to boot camp at?
Chicago. Great Lakes.
Chicago. And you went in 95, you said?
Might as well say 95. Yeah. Yep.
Bro, 1994. The things I was doing in 1994. Like, bro, that was a great time. That was a great time to be alive, right? I remember the Chronic album was banging.
Yeah.
Pocket Full of Stones, UGK was
UGK.
hitting. The Menace to Society soundtrack, period. Right?
Yep.
Like the early 90s was wild, man. And here you are going to boot camp in Chicago, right? Crucial Conflict, Twister, all that.
Yeah.
Were you excited to be going to Chicago?
Well, actually, we used to go up there every summer because my father had a brother up there. So he had two brothers up there, actually. So I knew the area.
So
we would go every summer. So, yeah.
How
So I
was
know
that
the
then
family
going
up
to
there.
Chicago in the summers from Alabama? Was that, do you have cousins up there too?
Oh, yeah. Got first cousins up there, man. So, yeah. I had family in Chicago and Detroit. So my mom had sisters in Detroit, and my dad had brothers in Chicago. So we would always make that ride, you know, a 12-hour ride in a little ugly Thunderbird. Yeah. I never forget that, man.
Oh, that's heritage right there, though, bro. That's heritage, making that drive. You know, and I think honestly, I think a lot of Americans are looking to go back to that because those flights are a little suspicious, right? Dealing with the airports and all that. It's
Yeah.
almost better just to jump in your car and ride it out and be in control of your own time, speed, distance, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But again, I just think about what a difference you know going in the summers to a city like Chicago in the late
Yep.
80s, in the
Yep.
early 90s from Alabama. did that have would you come back to Alabama with a little different swagger? Would you come back with a little different like pep in your step because you've been up
Yeah,
there
yeah, you
hitting
tried
it
it.
up with
You'd
people?
lose it like within 2 or 3 weeks once you get back to that country dirt, man.
Okay.
You'd lose it. But you think about it, no Google Maps or nothing back then. You use the actual map to know where to turn right or left,
Mhm.
no Siri or nothing. So yeah. So you think back on that, like, yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy, man. That's such a big, like, I think shift. I grew up in a city environment, urban environment, and I would go to the country to see my
Mm,
cousins in the country in the summers. And I would bring this different energy that they was all interested in too, because they're watching TV, they're watching music videos, whatever it is. And that's the way I talk. That's the way that I
right,
walk. That's the way that I
right.
swing. And so I could see you going up there and again, that's a crazy time to be in those cities, right?
Oh,
That's a crazy time to be around that energy. And then to have that be first family, right? That's a connection for you. And then of
hmm
course me knowing you and knowing the swag you bring, because you don't just bring country, you got you got a lot of experience,
right,
right?
right.
Okay. So when you get to boot camp, uh, was that your first time on a plane?
Um, yeah, actually it was. Yeah, yep,
Bro, it's so common. That's
yeah.
so common for so many of us that enlisted that's
hmm
like the first time on the plane. And it just, in my opinion, it just goes to show our generation, right? Because when we were younger, planes wasn't quite as easy as it is today.
hmm
It was more like the wealthy had a plane, right? The
Oh yeah.
wealthy would go on a plane. The regular folks was driving. And then a lot of us, that was a big step into a new world as we're going to on an airplane with people. Did you go to boot camp with people from Alabama as well?
Uh, Actually, a lot of them were from Chicago and Cali. I remember a couple guys from Cali. Yeah, a lot of them in
Like,
Georgia. For some
so
reason, I
when
always
you
run into a
left
lot
out,
of Georgia guys, man. Always a lot of Georgia guys.
so when you left for Maps though to go to boot camp, you was the only one going that day, or was there other people going with you?
No, so my MEPS was from Talladega. Our MEPS is in Montgomery in the capital. So yeah, so that's where we went. But a lot of them were going Army. A lot of them didn't go Navy.
Okay.
Right.
When you get to boot camp, how do you remember that period of time? You know, that little 2 3 month period. Was that time well spent? Was you just getting through it? You didn't really care for it? Did it meet your expectations?
Oh man, I was a warrior in boot camp, man. I actually, yeah, I think I got asthma twice, man. With I was bad, man. Because we had the how the integration was. We had the females above us, and I would never forget. I'd never forget sneaking up there with the females or something. I got asthma once. Just bad, man.
I can imagine,
Hey, I'll put it to you like this: I went in December. I didn't come out until April.
bro. But here you are. You got a girl back home with a baby, and you at boot camp hollering at the chicks, getting asthma
Yeah,
back because you over
yeah.
there putting your dimples on them. You know, but
Yeah.
hey, man, I get it, bro. Different
Yeah.
zip codes, right? Your different area
That's it,
codes,
man.
whatever you want to call it,
That's it.
making moves.
Yeah.
Okay. Asthma a few times, but you didn't. It sounded like you didn't mind being there,
No,
right?
no, because I knew it was gonna. I mean, eventually I was gonna get out. I mean, after that, I went straight to Seaman ATD school. Because I didn't choose a rate there. I didn't choose. I
Okay.
went straight to. I guess I knew I was going to deck.
Oh, so when you went to the Navy, you went undesignated from the jump.
Right, right. That
Do you
recruiter didn't even
remember
tell me
why
nothing
that?
about. Hey, I guess I was one of those. Just go. I didn't choose a rate or
Okay.
anything.
Okay. Well, and of course, you didn't have the mentorship from someone to give you that
Right,
advice going into it, right?
right,
You was just
right,
going in. And look, they saw they I was told because of my criminal background, I wasn't qualified, which I now know that's not really true. It was
right.
just the easiest path to get me to say okay to
Yep.
undesignated, right?
And make that quota
Um,
for him to make that
yeah,
quota.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but on the reverse, whatever, life it is what it is.
Right.
So you get through boot camp and you stay at Great Lakes to do your seaman training.
Right. It was called ATD, Advanced. What was that?
Yep.
Advanced Training. Yep. Yep. I stayed on up
Yep.
there.
ATD. Okay. Bro, is it dark there already in Bahrain?
Yeah, it's getting dark. It's 17:20 there. Can you see me?
Bro,
Or
you
you
need
need
to
me to
get
go
some light
inside?
or something, bro. I can barely
Okay.
see you now.
Okay. Let me see. Let me go in.
Yeah, you got to get some light, homie.
All right.
Otherwise,
I'll
I'm
go.
gonna be trying to get.
No. I'll go around to my man cave.
Oh yeah, go to your man cave, bro. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see that. And for everyone that's listening to the sound of our voice, Terrence is dialing in right now from the Kingdom of Bahrain, where he is currently serving our country. And we'll get to that later, of course. But for him, it is. For you,
Yeah.
it's Sunday right now, right?
No, Saturday.
It's Saturday for you. Okay.
Right. There you go, bro. See me now?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can see you better.
Cool. You about to walk in, babe? Can you say hi to her? Can she get on and say
Hi,
hi?
Marcelia. How you doing? Yeah, hi, what's up?
Hey, Gary. How are you?
You know what? I'm getting taller every day. Life is good.
Life is good. That's right.
Yo,
It is
it
good.
really is. Life is amazing.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
How are you doing? You doing good?
I am doing well. Yeah. Enjoying
That's
Bahrain.
awesome. I know y'all are. Y'all out there just living your best life. T says
We
y'all
try
never coming
to.
back. What the heck? But whatever. Hey, you know what? Y'all ain't the only ones, right? People learn how to make it work over there.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely.
Hey, and not everybody wants to do it, so go for it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
not
Say
everybody
hi,
wants to go
American.
do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's about to walk the dog, man. So
All right. Well, be careful out there.
all right.
All right, T. So you're in boot camp. You come out of boot camp. You go to undesignated seaman training. Coming out of seaman ATD, did you get orders right out the gate?
Yeah, believe it or not, man. Can you see me, Gary?
Yeah. I can see you.
Okay.
Can you see
Yeah.
me? Hey, is that when you got orders to the Moose Burger?
No. So this is what happened, man. Out of 50 guys, right? I was the only one to get shore duty. I went to Naval Weapons Station Charleston first.
Okay.
Right.
Naval Weapons Station, Charleston, in Virginia.
Charleston, South Carolina.
South Carolina. I'm sorry. South Carolina. Okay, so you got shore duty as an undesignated seaman.
Yeah.
At 19. Are you 19 yet?
That was 94. So what's that? Yeah, 19 years old.
Okay. How was that for you at 19 years old, landing in South Carolina with a steady job, living in the barracks, right? Was South Carolina, was it lit? Was it off the chain out there?
Oh yeah, it was lit, man. Because so the base was going through if people are not familiar with the BRAC is, that's the base realignment and closure, right? So it was going through the BRAC, right? So they put us in the officers' quarters. So just think, for a 19-year-old in the officers' quarters, just had brought a little Jeep Cherokee. But my job it had nothing to do with the Navy. My job was base beautification team. I was a glorified grass cutter. That's all I did, cut grass.
Well, that's shore duty, right? I actually think those kinds of jobs is not bad for sailors, because number one, it saves us money on paying government employees forever. And number two, you actually got something you can do. On the reverse, like you said, it ain't teaching you nothing you're going to use in the future of your career, right?
Correct.
But you're getting a steady paycheck, you're killing some time. Did you have good leadership that first period of time?
Oh no, not at all.
No.
It
just because you didn't really have anyone that cared about your job. They was all focused on other stuff, or what?
Oh, it was pretty wild back then, man. So those were the days where still a little bit of racial tensions back then. 94 was still a rough time.
Yeah.
Tell you what to do and going about your business. That was a lot of boats were down there, so it was like a boathouse. So they had boats, like small craft, a lot of real boats to work on, tug boats, things of that nature down there. So they would tell you what to do.
Were you working for BOSA mates that were tasking you to go cut grass?
BOSA mates, electricians, SHs. It was everything out there. Yeah.
What were the boats there for? Were they training people to do things on boats? Is that why the boats were there? Or was it for
No,
like base security?
so no, like dockmaster boats, like the tugs whenever ships come in, because you used to
Hmm.
have the Santa Barbara there, the Frank Cable, all those used to be there. So we would be the ones who hook up to them and tell them how to bring them in. We would bring them in whenever they come out from out to sea.
So like port operations type stuff.
Right, right.
Right. Okay. So that's why you're really there. It's just they were using you as like TDY to do all the other random jobs that the base needed to get done. And you were just, as an undesignated seaman, you were just low man on the totem pole. Go cut grass, Harmon.
Right, right,
Okay, I get that.
right.
So how long are you there for? Is that a 2-year billet?
Yeah, that would have been my first 2 years there. Yeah, I should have been there from '94 to '96.
You should have been there. Did you leave earlier or did you do the whole time there?
So this is where it gets funny, man. So I went to, whenever a base closes, they'll let you choose any A school you want to go to, right?
Right.
So I went to Master Arms A school. Made it
You went
all the
to
way.
MA school out of there?
Yeah. Should have been automatic third, man. Yeah.
So hold on. You went to MAA school, should have been an automatic third. Why were you not?
But not ASMO, but got kicked out of A school.
So you're down in Texas going to MA school to become a law enforcement officer in the United States Navy. And back then, there wasn't a lot of MA on MA3s, right?
25.
So
25
that was an
the MA rate back then used to be 2,500, whereas now we're probably 50,000 after 9/11.
yeah. So so it was an opportunity for you to get in so junior, but you didn't sound like you appreciated that opportunity. So you was down there doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, or what?
Yeah, fraternization.
What? Fraternization? What do you mean? Like just dating someone older than you?
Instructor.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the
how that goes.
instructor.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the instructor and you hooked up, whatever it was. The chain of command found out, and both y'all got cracked.
No, I got cracked. They didn't get cracked.
What?
Yeah.
The instructor didn't get in trouble, but you did. But they're senior to you, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah, way senior than me.
But that make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's incredible to me. So you get in trouble with fraternization. And I'll tell you, man, fraternization was my least favorite thing when I was in the military. Right?
Yeah. So
I hated dealing with it. And even today, though, bro, like as a high school teacher, I talk to my students. I'm like, can y'all please not date inside the battalion? Because it gets so messy, bro. Like it gets so messy.
Yeah.
And then, but the difference is that we don't really have rules. It's just messy, right? In the military, we know we got rules, but then people, they do what they're gonna do. And then unfortunately, leaders got to handle their business and hold the line. But I remember looking back at my career, I had the most drama around fraternization than anything else. Like for real. That was like the number one challenge that I had to deal with. When you were looking at that back then, when you got in trouble, were you angry that you got in trouble and that person didn't?
Oh yeah, because it was 8 weeks. It was the week of graduation. My MA school back then was 8 weeks. Oh yeah, hell yeah, I was in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Looking back on it now through the lens of you doing a whole career, does it make sense to you now, or are they were just all the way doing it dirty? Because I'll tell you, it sounded to me dirty.
No, that was dirty. That was dirty. I mean, yeah, both of us should have got hemmed up.
Yeah, for sure. At a minimum, both y'all should have got, and that person should have got held more accountable because they're the senior in that thing, right? They supposed to know better, and they in the position of responsibility as an instructor, right? Not only are they a higher rank, but instructor. All right, so you get busted down, you lose your rate, you go, but now you get sent to the fleet.
Go to the fleet
as an undesignated E3.
Right. USS Mooseburger.
That's when you. I always remember the name Mooseburger.
Yeah.
Whenever you would tell me about you was on the USS Mooseburger, I always remember that shit.
Yeah.
What kind of a ship was the USS Mooseburger?
DD, original
A
DD.
DD.
Yeah.
A DD. Okay. And were they out of Virginia?
Mayport.
Okay. So Mayport. Not bad. Who else do we know that was on the Mooseburger with you back then?
Not
Was
well.
Ty Giles on the Mooseburger?
Well, he was on the Doyle. He was right beside me.
Okay, so he was on the
Yeah.
Doyle because I knew
That's
him
where
and his
we
twin
met.
brother went down there.
Right.
Yeah, I got him coming on here pretty soon. I think he's on this week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Ty gonna be a
deployed
good
together.
one, man. Yeah, Ty gonna be a
Yeah.
good one. All right,
Yeah.
so you're on the Mooseburger, you're on a DD, you're in Duval, right?
Yep.
Duval County now. You've been in the Navy a little while, but it's your first ship,
Correct.
right? How are you when you get to the ship? Are you just kind of angry because you've gone through this whole cutting grass thing? Now you done went through all this training to become an MA, but they got you on the ship being an undesignated seaman. What's your headspace like? Are you thinking about getting out of the Navy?
No, actually, I wasn't because I knew I had to provide for him. So,
Okay.
And in the MA world, coming through their school back then, they taught you a little bit about the ships and how to read the SOPAs and everything. So I had read up a little bit. I've always, you know me, man. I've always been one who always try to get ahead and be ahead of the game. So I knew what to expect, and you going to deck, you always gonna have somebody to try to take you under the wing. And I always had street smart, so I fit in just perfectly. It went well for me. I spent 96 to 2000 on there, so I've done 4 years on there. Damn near 4 deployments.
Okay, so when you get to the ship, how was your sponsorship or your first 72 hours? Do you remember that? Like, did you get a good reception when you got to the ship, or did you not really require a lot? Like, because you probably had a car. Were you living on the ship at that time?
Yeah, I was.
How long did you live on the ship before you moved out of town?
2 years, because that's when I met the first wife. I had met her in Charleston while I was in Charleston, and I married her in 98. Yeah, I married her in 98, so I remember moving to Bay Meadows.
Okay, so you didn't like move out with some friends or some boys and have some place to stay out in town. You stayed on the ship until you got married and got your own spot.
Right. I mean, I always had a place to go and stay. We would always have a place to go kick it,
Yeah, I mean, back when we were young, living on the ship, I'll tell you what, I would do whatever I could to not go back to the boat.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like I damn near was sleep. And we were in Sasebo, Japan, and we'd be sleeping in the barracks lounges on the couches till they make us leave, right? Because we didn't want to go back to the ship. We would house up the lounges and tell the people in the barracks, go back to your room, partner. We got this. This is all.
That's it, man.
Yeah. So, okay. When you look back on the Mooseburger, that period of your life, 4 years, did you go from there to like BM2?
Yep. I got capped back then. I got capped to BM2.
Okay. Why'd you end up striking Bosa mate? Why did you not try to go into another rate, or did you just decide you liked what the Bosa mates what they were doing?
So I took the RM test once, struck out on that, and turned around and took the BM3 test that after that next 6 months. What was it? Was it 996, right? Or was it 669?
Yeah.
Hell, I forgot, something like that. And made BM3 and stayed on there one more year. I was capped. Yeah. So Deck is a tight knit of guys. Those guys are tight knit. So.
Oh, I know. I know, man. I was talking to JB the other day, and I've got another Bosa mate, retired Bosa mate Master Chief, coming on this show here pretty soon, who changed my career. And I will tell you, as a DC man, I was raised by Chief Petty Officers and LDOs, right? And then when I look back on the rates that really raised me, besides, it wasn't really the engineering rates, right? Because as a DC man, the engineers didn't really give a damn about DC men. For me, it was Bosa mates, SHs, right? MSs, because in the duty section, these guys really appreciated what I brought to the conversation as duty fire marshal, right? Like when I made Sailor of the Year, I tell people the engineers ranked me number 3. Everybody else ranked me number 1, right? Because engineers had some hate in their heart, right? They wasn't trying to see no DC men be good because they wanted their MMs to be good or their EM to be good. But those topside rates, really took good care of me. And then I got mad respect for the Bosa mate community because of the way they really represent each other, right? Like
Oh yeah,
they always take good care of each, and the leadership is strong in that race
very,
because
very.
like the DC men, DC threes get a lot of responsibility because you be like a repair locker, fire party leader, a scene leader, a duty fire marshal. Well, in the deck world, BM3 running seaman,
That's
right?
it.
They running seaman boats.
That's
Matter of fact, BMSN running seaman.
running,
As soon as you get the name boats, you
leading
got.
seaman, leading
I'm
seaman.
telling you, I said this before. I look at the name boats as almost being for me like a marine, right? Because
Yeah,
if you a boats, you got a certain level of if you don't live up to that, they gonna be pissed.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I would imagine recovering from what happened to you at the MA school. Did you have better leadership at the Mooseburger?
Oh yeah, heck yeah, definitely.
I mean, you can't help it, right? You're gonna
Right,
have some BM2s, BM1s,
right.
BMCs, LDO. Looking back on Mooseburger, who was like your top one or two mentors or people that really got through to you on that ship? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, no doubt. BM2 Robertson, now retired BMCM Robertson, my mentor. Besides you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was it about that boats that
Yeah.
really resonated for you that helped you come through it?
Took that little punk out of me. I'm stepping on, and I knew what. So the day I checked on board, we went on a 4-month deployment. We went on a Unitas around
Okay.
South America. So I checked on board and got underway. So yeah, I come up there cocky. I want to be a lead seaman on the line, and he's like, heave around on line one. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Heave around on line one. Hey, by the time that CN anchor was over, that dude took me up to the forward anchor handling, caved my chest in, man. I ain't have nothing but the true wall-to-wall counseling, Gary. True wall-to-wall counseling. You
No,
know?
I mean, look, you're not a little guy, right?
No.
You're not a little
Oh, he
guy.
wasn't either.
So
So we
okay,
called him we
so
called him Debo on the ship. He wasn't little either. That's the name
but I
we
mean
gave him.
that's a piece of that pie though, right? Like
Yeah.
you got your opportunity to go two from the chest, right? You got your
Yeah.
chance to, all right,
Yeah.
bro, you want to do it? I remember I had a second class petty officer did the same thing for me when I was a young sailor, and it just was what it would change my life. Marlo Lindsay from South Carolina and Lowe changed my life, and a
Yeah.
piece of that was he was willing to go hand on hand combat with me because that's what I needed. I respected that way
Yep.
more than words, right?
Yep.
And so, but he was a second class petty officer. So everyone listening, it wasn't like he was a master chief at the time. He was
No.
a BM2, but and Terrence had been in the Navy a little bit, so he was a little in his mind had some seniority, whatnot, and you guys
Yeah.
had to get calibrated. How long
Yeah.
did it take after that for you to fall into line and recognize that this guy was solid?
Oh, no time at all, because he ran the East Watch
Okay.
program. I got right on him. Got my East Watch as a seaman, SNSW. Picked up third and followed him. He stayed
So
with my
was he
career. Stayed with my
was
career
he
all
the
the way.
one that turned you on to getting your ESWAS pin?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So tight. He's Haley's godfather.
That's
So
awesome,
we're
man.
tight. We're tight. Yeah, yeah.
And was it just his like did he already know at that point in his career that he wanted to go all the way?
Oh yeah. He knew he wanted. Yeah, he did. We
And
always
was
called
the
him Lifer. Called him a lifer
lifer?
back then, and they always called me lifer. So like all my partners now, they're like, still T, you still in? When you gonna retire? Make fun, messing with me like that. But
Okay, and I think that matters, right? Because our first ships, our first few years, if you have the right mentor, it will really put you on the right trajectory. And you stayed connected with this person, which for me is amazing, right? Because this is back before social media and having cell phones in your pockets. It was harder to stay connected back then.
no doubt, no
Did
doubt.
he leave the ship? How did he leave the ship before you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because he had been there like maybe '93. He brought the ship from Charleston, so he brought it from Charleston to Mayport.
Okay.
Bosa made tours was like 5-3. Seashore rotation was 5-3. I think maybe 5-2 back then. I think it was
Seagull and
five and
Rate,
two.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Seagull and Rate. So how long was he with you on board the ship?
See, I was there from '96 to 2000. We decommed her up in Philly. I think he left at '99 and went to Great Lakes because they mapped him to BM1, and then he went to Great Lakes and made BMC.
Okay. And I say that because a lot of times in the military, we don't get the chance to be with really good leaders a long time, right? Typically 18, 24 months is the max and someone's leaving, right? Someone's
Right.
leaving. And that's why I tell people like, well, I love what I'm doing right now because I get 4 years with these kids in high school, right? And
Right.
for 4 years, bro, I can help you become an amazing, you
Exactly.
can really go
Exactly.
out the box. But we do amazing things. We're used to doing amazing things in 24 months, right? Most of us will go to a command and turn that joker around in 2 years and be ready to roll because
Hey,
it's
we
kind of
live in
how
proof,
things
aren't we?
go. We are.
We're,
We
we're
are.
living proof,
And
aren't
that's
we, brother?
definitely 100%. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that. We're going
Yeah.
to talk about that. Okay, so after the Moose Burger, you're staying in the Navy. You just got Captain BM2. You got your warfare pin. You just finished all your sea duty and you decommissioned the Moose Burger. Where are you going to next?
Yokosuka. That's where I became the 7th Fleet sailor, man. That's why I love Japan.
Okay,
Dock
so you
master,
go to Japan and you're
Port
married at
Ops.
the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And you have another child at this time.
Yep. Haley.
So when you
Yep.
go to Yokosuka, you got a wife and a baby.
Correct.
Okay. And you're going to shore duty. So you're going to Port Ops?
Port Ops. Yep. CFAY.
Okay.
Yoko.
What year was that?
That was 2000 to 2002.
Okay, so how was that? Were you excited to go to Japan or were y'all a little nervous?
I had heard so much about it, like how so many sailors get over there and stay, and yeah, I was excited. The ex-wife, she was kind of I knew she was nervous, but she got homesick and went back anyway. So yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
yeah,
back in those days, again, there's not a lot of information readily
no,
available. There's no internet really to look at all the information. Hopefully, you'll get a sponsorship package.
right,
But I got to Japan in 1997, and it was like I got on a plane and I got off, and I was like, "Where do I go now? Like, what
yeah,
do I do?"
yeah, yeah.
Right? So, would you remember that day walking off the plane? Was that a huge culture shock for you guys, or not too bad?
No, not too bad. We knew how to navigate. Yeah, it wasn't really bad.
And then
No.
were y'all living on base, Yokosuka, or were y'all over like in Hario?
Um, no, we were in what is the other one? Nagishi, isn't it?
Ooh, y'all was out to Nagishi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bro,
So
that place does drive.
Gary, first we started off in town. We lived out in town first.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived out in town. And
Was that by
9/11 kicked.
choice?
Yeah, we just wanted to live out of town, out in a westernized apartment, place out on the
Okay.
water. And then 9/11 kicked off and we moved on base.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you chose to go out in town because a lot of people do that because they want the
Mhm.
experience, right? They want to be
Yeah.
able to say they live in a cho, they kind of
Right.
have that. What was it about 9/11 that caused y'all to move back on base?
To get us closer because they put all the Port Ops people, they made us go to 9545. So being that I had that MA experience partially already, that's when it's going to come to me going back to MAA school in 02.
Yeah. I will tell y'all, people don't understand how much 9/11 affected the Navy when it comes to shore installation security
Yeah.
forces,
Yeah.
right? Like it changed the Navy because before that, installation security was like shore duty for all kinds of sailors, right? And you
Right.
had a variety of people, D seamen, a lot of D seamen, that's a shore duty for them, doing physical security, doing port operations security, or the base security, managing the water side, right? The port side. But after 9/11, they damn near stood up an army of them. They created their own army,
Yeah.
right? They made.
Yeah.
I was a recruiter, bro. We was putting everybody in as an MA, like
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
right? And so you you were on the inside track of that. It sounds like getting sent to that base, that security force school to get all the training. Um, did that feel full circle for you?
Yeah, I had my opportunity to get it back again. So this time around, my 2 years was up there. So it was actually 3 years, but the ex-wife went back, so it cut me to 2 years. So my time was up, and I got another shot at MAA school in September of 02, and went to San Diego to Point Loma for MAA school, knocked that out, and went to Charleston.
So when she went back, was it a result of like personal things, or was it like she just didn't like Japan?
Homesick,
Or
homesick.
homesick.
True
I mean, that
Charlestonian
happens.
girl. Yeah,
It
yeah,
happens a lot, man. And
yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of young couples, they don't make it through that first overseas tour
Uh,
because of that, right? Because
correct.
a person gets homesick. I remember when Erica and I went over there, man, that was a huge fear for me, was that she was going to want to leave. And after the earthquake happened, she did leave for a little bit, but
Yeah,
she came back, and that was by the grace of God, right? Because
right.
I've watched a lot of people lose their family over that challenge of being homesick, right?
Mhm.
And of course, how much we're working all the time, right?
Right.
Because even on show duty, you working, like you putting
Oh yeah.
hours in over there. And for them, it can be lonely, right?
Oh yeah.
And back then there wasn't no technology. You weren't just FaceTiming with family every 5 minutes or making friends or whatnot. So when she left, did you go into the barracks?
Yeah, you know how you get like the 30 days to evacuate your Nagishi, and yeah, I definitely went to the barracks right across from the exchange.
Okay, so going to the barracks now, but then like you said, it cuts a year off of your duty
Mhm.
station time. Uh, where do you end up going to next?
I went to the MAA school in Point Loma, and then went because they were in Charleston. The actual CMC, who used to be on Mooseburger, he took over the base hospital in Charleston. So I made that call to him and had him call a detailer for me, and that got me to Charleston back to my wife and kids. So
The
it
cheat
worked.
code right there, bro.
That's
And
it, man.
people don't understand networking. Like
Oh
I've
yeah,
reverse engineered so many people's orders by doing that, bro.
yeah,
Like calling the guy at the end, having them call the guy in the middle, having the guy in the middle press the button, and
that's
away you
it.
go, right? I've done that for so many sailors. And
Yeah,
and that's just networking, right? It's
that's
just
it.
networking. You're still filling the billet, right? You just
That's it.
playing chess, not checkers.
That's it. Right. That's it.
So so when you were coming out of that job, you knew you wanted to convert to MA. Like you were like, I don't want to stay a BOSA mate. I'm changing. Why did you want to change rates?
Well, as you know, back then you could have cut a 80 and had four O's back then on Bosa mate, and it was locked.
Yeah,
MA was still open. MA was open, wide open. And once 9/11 hit, and then all the Bosa mates went MA, and pretty much now all the MAs are they're trying to go Bosa mate now because it's so swole over there. So
right,
the rate was locked up. It was
right.
locked. Hmm.
And that I remember when I first joined the Navy, a lot of engineers were converting over to D seaman because it was just a hot moving rate, right? And
Yeah,
and they were trying to play strategic and make some rank because ultimately the retirement check is based off your pay grade, right? Like
yeah.
let's keep it a buck, right? Let's
That's it.
keep it a
That's
buck.
it.
And so that's strategic, and I get that. And you got the experience, you got the training, you've been to all the schools,
Right.
and you're going to the Naval Hospital back in South Carolina, which
Well,
is
I
kind
actually
of
went to
like go
no, it
say it
wasn't
again.
well, he was at the hospital, but they put me at the actual weapon station, naval
Oh,
weapon station.
so the same base you had been at before as an undesignated seaman, now
No, no,
you're
no,
coming back as
no,
security forces.
no. The first one I was at was naval station, naval base Charleston. But then
Okay.
there's a weapon station there too because you got naval nuclear power. You got the nukes there as well. So it's
Okay.
the weapon station there. So it's like four bases there in Charleston.
Okay. And when you're going there, are you going there to be installation security?
Correct.
And are you land? Do they only have like a land side?
They have a harbor patrol as well, but the harbor is with the Navy Nuke Power Training Command, the nukes, the nuke
Okay.
school. Yeah.
When you get there as MA2, who's doing the gate guard at that time? Are you staying in gate
That's
guard?
us. Hmm.
Okay. Was there a lot? Did you have civilians as well doing gate guard, or was it 100% military?
Yeah, usually one civilian and one military.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because I would tell you, man, being a base CMC, one of my biggest challenges was helping my security forces manage that problem, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they love the 3-2-2-3 rotation, but that could
Panama,
be a monster, man.
it can. If you don't have the bodies, it can. Yeah,
Yeah. Or like on Guam, I had a bunch of gates, bro. I had so many gates. It wasn't
yeah,
like 3, 4 gates. There was just so many gates, and it was just not enough people because
right.
the math don't math, right? The
Yeah.
Navy will say, well, you're supposed to have 300 billets, but we'll give you 150
Oh, yeah,
funded and 150 unfunded. And I'm just
yeah,
like, how does that make
yeah.
sense, bro? Like you telling me to tell my sailors that we don't have enough people, but make it work, and then tell me them on the other hand, and they supposed to have a work-life balance.
And those DoD cops, they're going to take that overtime if you give it to them, and you got to have the money to provide them the overtime.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because their overtime is the only way the sailors and security forces can get some relief.
Get the time off, exactly.
And what I found out when I was an installation CMC was we were making it work on the backs of the sailors because we didn't have the money for the overtime because it's
Exactly.
federal government dollars,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
And that's it. And so the sailors were getting essentially taken advantage of, and we weren't closing gates because I was like, close gates. But
Yeah,
then if we close gates, traffic gets backed up. And then the
right.
admiral will be like, why is traffic so far? Open the gates. It's
Exactly.
crazy, bro. Like
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I think the Navy still needs to take a look at, and I think they should return surface sailors shore duty to work with the security forces, supplementing the MAs to have enough people because they'll make them better sailors when they go back to the ship,
oh
right?
yeah,
Because on the ship, here's the other thing where I think 9/11 really affected the Navy. All the security force watch rotations or watch positions we had to stand up that we're not built for, right?
right.
Remember on the ship when you was like, you gotta have an Atwell, topside
Top
rover,
side security. Yeah, yeah,
horrible,
exactly.
bro. Like we barely got enough watch standards to match what's in our real SORM. Now you
Hmm.
gotta add all these other watches and assignments, even in home port. And
Yeah,
it's like, we at home port with base security, what are we doing? You know,
exactly.
but the United States Navy hide to the right, unfortunately, and they just don't think they taking it out of hide, right? Because you should have added MAs to the ship to help
Right.
man that, right? But you don't do that. Anyway, I digress, right? It's a
See, I
frustration.
digress.
It's a
Yeah.
frustration. But we made it work, you know.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're at the weapons station, you're doing installation security. Was that an enjoyable time?
No, standing that gate sucks because you get those severe thunderstorms in Charleston, man. Standing that
Yeah.
gate can, yeah, it's bad out there. But hey, you get to rotate around in the vehicles sometimes, and hey, 15 days out of the month. That's the good thing about that 3223.
That's it. That's what they really
Yeah,
love about it. And it's the same
yeah.
thing for civilian law enforcement too, right? They
Hmm.
do the exact same rotation, but they
Yeah.
also get to do the overtime, but they like that part of it. Okay.
Hmm.
Is that a 3-year tour or is that a 2-year tour?
That was a 3-year tour. I was there from 02 to '05 of September. And that's when I started doing those. I hit that 1-year tour. That's when they first brought the detainees to Cuba. '05, I went to Guantanamo Bay.
You went to Gitmo at the end of that tour, you said?
And yeah, once I finished up my 3 years in Chucktown in Charleston, I went down to Guantanamo Bay. And that was an
So did you
IA
go to
tour. They snatched me from that, actually. They snatched me from Charleston, and we were the first ones to go down there.
did you ever meet a DC-1 down there named Burns?
First name?
Danny.
Danny Burns? No, it was a Burns on my first ship, though, but no.
Okay. I just say that because he was on my ship with me. He had come from brig duty as a DC man.
Yeah.
And the day I got frocked, the first class petty officer, I'm walking off the flight deck from just getting frocked, and he's holding a message. He's the LPO at the time. And he's holding a message in his hand that says he just got orders to go IA to Gitmo to
Yeah.
open up Guantanamo Bay for a 12-month IA. and I'm the new LPO for the division, right? And that IA changed his life because he had to go 12 months to Guantanamo Bay in support of the war on terror, whatever you want to call it. And I got the opportunity to be the LPO of the division literally just walked off the frocking ceremony, and I'll never forget. He came back a year later, and where do you think I was at a year later? I was Sailor of the Year. I was whatever, right? And he was coming back, and the CO had changed command. So the old CO had promised him he didn't have to go on deployment. Well, the new CO was like, I didn't make that promise. So they made him go on deployment on the backside of a 12-month IA to Guantanamo Bay, bro. And we made Chief Petty Officer together that year, actually. Him and I put it on anchors. He made Chief, I made Chief. We went through initiation. But I would have never let that happen to my sailor if I was the CMC, bro. Like, I would have stashed him somewhere so quick, so fast. Like, he's not going on that deployment, dog. Not after a no-notice 12-month IA. He is not going on that deployment. We all know we can work this out. Right? 100%. But they made him go on the deployment, man. And so I remember that that time period. And back then the Navy, the armed forces was busy, right? We had people over in Afghanistan. We had people gearing up to go into Iraq. Did you go to brig duty before you went to Guantanamo, or had you already gone to brig duty?
No, I done brig training. I done that in 2011.
Okay.
Well, so before going to Guantanamo, they send you to Washington State, just to learn about what you're going to go through. Everybody has to go through Washington State before they go down to Cuba.
All right, man. How was that living in Cuba doing brig duty? Because I heard stories, bro. I heard it was something else. How was that experience for you?
It was warriors, man. I'm sure I can say it. It's status of agreement. Yeah, I can talk about it now. I was there when the guy swallowed his beard. I was there when they rioted. So yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it down there. It was they would make they called it the cocktail where they mix up the feces and the urine. Yeah. And they knew how to throw it through that. You know how they have the chicken wire? They knew exactly how to throw it on you. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's like anything, right? You got prisoners that are looking to rebel, and they're pissed off, and we're not down there built for that mission set, right? That's a brand new mission. We're standing up, figuring out what to do with these guys. Well, how long were you there for? Is that only 1 year?
It's a year tour. Yeah.
1 year. And you go down there as an MA1?
MA2.
MA2. So had you been up in first class yet?
Yeah, actually, I made first down there. Didn't look back at my record and missed it by points twice, and then look back at it, Gary, and should have been an MA1. Yeah.
Okay, so you're missing. You're taking the test. You're missing it by points, but no one's really helping you QA because on the ship. That's what we would do, right? We would look at anyone who didn't make it, and we would look to see how close they were and try just to make sure we're not missing something, right? No one's doing that for you.
Let's backdate it now. Backdate it now. No, nobody done that for me. No.
Okay. Were you frustrated at that point about not making rank, or were you just like, it's in God's hands and I'll just keep working?
A little frustrated, but I knew eventually I was going to make it because those P&A points, yeah.
Okay.
I was frustrated once I looked back like 2 or 3 years later and was like, I should have been in first class already because I made it.
That's just money in your pocket, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, ultimately, that's it, right? It's money in your pocket, stress off your head, one step closer to the next pay grade, right? All the above, right? I mean, because, I look at it like when I made chief, if I had never taken the test for LDO purposes, I would have not made chief that year because no one put no time and rate waiver in for me, right? The CMC didn't do that till after I made board for LDO, right? And so I'm looking at it like so I was always looking out for those hard chargers to make sure they got that opportunity that no one gave to me, right? But in life, you got to take care of your business, right? You got to be on top of your stuff. Okay, so you're near leaving that IA. what are you looking to do next? You've already done a base security force job. You're a first class petty officer now. You're leaving this high visibility, stressful 12-month job.
Right.
Are they trying to drag you to go over to like Iraq or Afghanistan because you're an MA, or are they trying to put you on a ship? What's that look like?
No, so I think they already knew I had already completed my C time. You know, as the MA, our overseas counts as our C time.
Right.
So I had plenty of overseas time, but actually I was a MA2 still. I made it,
Okay.
you know, Bahrain,
After.
here is the hub. All MAs have to come here to make rank.
Right.
You have to do a hardship tour to come in here, you know, without your spouse or whatever. So I chose to come here under the Threat Mitigation Unit, TMU, NCIS. So I came here as NCIS. And when I came here, I made first here, checking on board.
And so you're still married at this time, but you're going to a GeoBatch tour.
Correct.
So you were GeoBatch in Iraq too, right?
Cuba.
Cuba. You're GB in Cuba, and now you're going GB. So how is communication between you and her at that time? Was it tough? That's a lot of GB time.
Yeah, we were going through the breakups. Yeah.
Is that affecting you at work at that time, or are you holding it down and it's okay?
No, it wasn't affecting me at work, but internally, yeah. It never got to me at work, but yeah.
Okay, because I mean that's a lot, right? You got children, you got family, you're going through losing a significant relationship, but then a lot of times people will really appreciate the structure of the Navy because you just do the thing, right? Do what you got to do every day, and everything else kind of works itself out in the long run. And so when you're over there with NCIS, are you doing like investigations with them, like CID?
No, we're actually doing the type of work. It's just like you're an agent. You know, you're going out checking on, you know, any kind of criminal cases going on, any kind of sexual assault. You actually carry credentials around just like you're an agent. Give you civilian clothes for the whole year. You get extra $850 every month. Like protests out in Bahrain, you go out for those. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so you're there. It's a very unique opportunity. You're getting your overseas tour done. You're getting your what do they call it? They call it a restricted dependent tour or something like that, right? Again, I got a lot of information on the MAs. Again, when I was a base CMC and I had a bunch of MAs, right? And they're telling me about this stuff. Did you enjoy being in Bahrain that time?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you get the chance to make a lot of connections with people, or were you kind of not really connected because of the line of work you were doing?
No, you know me. I've always been a network king, man. I'm always networking. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. So you didn't find yourself getting isolated because of what you were doing. You were still able to make friends and have a life and do all these other things.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't know because, you know, as a law enforcement guy, especially as a younger man, I mean, I remember when I was a young senator, we used to throw the MAs bottle in the ocean and tell them, get on, bro. Like, we don't want you here. Right. So I didn't know, like, if people were comfortable having you, like, being connected with you, or if they was like, yo, this guy right here is, or were you hanging out with the MAs, or were you hanging out with just anybody?
Well, it's only a few with Threat Mitigation Unit. You're not with the actual 46199 UIC, the actual 800 MAs. It's only like 7 of you guys.
Right.
You're with the actual, No, I didn't.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, so are you networking just with all over the people from the base? Or are you really connected just to your community of MAs?
Everybody on the base.
Okay.
Everybody. Cool. All rates. You know, back then they still had sweepers out here. They just decommed all the sweepers out here, but they had PCs out here as well. Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, and I had somebody else on here from Bahrain, and he was talking about how it is a very tight-knit community over there, and people stay locked in with each other. So I could see that. And I'm an overseas guy, but I never did Bahrain. But because in my mind, Bahrain's even more over. I mean, they're really remote. But of course, technology, of course, has changed the game over there, where it's a lot more westernized, right?
Very. Yeah.
Okay. And that's only a 1-year billet for that, working with the NCIS, Bubbas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what do you decide to do? You're only there for 3-4 months and you're negotiating orders, right?
Calling for orders right as you there. Yeah, I was going back overseas again, right? Stayed in Okinawa, went to Oki from 7s
Okay.
to
So now
10s.
you're going to Okinawa as an MA1. Is that going to be installation security forces?
Yep. Commander Fleet Activities Okinawa. Yep, up at White Beach.
Hey, when you look at that time, whether it was the weapons station, I keep wanting to say Iraq, but the
Bahrain.
Guantanamo Bay,
Mhm.
Cuba, or that year you're with NCIS, any significant leaders during that period of time that really resonated with you and made an impact?
A couple of MACMs. Oh yeah. Tommy Perkins, Pat Killinger, Ed Hendrickson. Yeah. Those
Was
guys
that
those guys that held me down in Okinawa, all those guys under that leadership, all of my partners now, like Lighty. Have you had James Lighty on here now before on your show?
not yet? No, not yet. No, not
All
yet.
of us were together. All of us were together in Oki as young MA2s, MA1s.
You know, I first met Lighty when he was MA senior chief up that northern Japan base, and he was
Musawa.
like, yeah, and he was
Yep.
like running the senior enlisted leader spot, about to go to the
Yep.
command senior chief program.
Yep.
That's when him and I first connected, and I was
Yep.
up at the 7th Fleet thing. So Okinawa sounds like you got turned on to some really good leadership.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you get to Okinawa, much different than Yokosuka, right?
Oh yeah.
And are you doing base security there?
I actually took over training LPO. They sent me
But
to
are
the
you doing it like,
9502.
is it for White Beach?
Well, White Beach encompasses. That's where all the security guys are at. They don't go down to Kadena base. We'll send somebody down to the Kadena Air Base if they're gonna do the what we call it NCIS. I think theirs is OIS. Air Force is OIS. So we'll send somebody TAD down there and send some people to the flight line.
Right.
But I had training LPO rather.
Yeah, because the only real Navy base in Okinawa is White Beach, right?
Correct.
That's a pretty good base to have right there. It's not a lot of gates. It's not a
Nothing.
lot of people out there. It's
Yeah.
quiet. That's good duty. Okay.
Mhm.
So what did you're MA1 now. Are you
Mhm.
trying to make chief? Is that a priority for you at that point?
Yeah, but it was just stuck in traffic because there was so many MA1s there. I mean, hella MA1s there.
So when you when he says stuck in traffic, for everyone listening, there's almost this thing in the Navy where if you got seniority over people, they don't want to drop you because it could hurt your career. But then you got hot runners that are they're blocked because you got people that have been there longer than them. And I'm telling you what, managing talent is one of the most important things that the Navy either gets it right or gets it wrong, right? And you got to have leaders that really manage that. So when you look back at that time you were you there for 2 years or 3 years?
3. I done a full 3 there.
Did a full? I mean, why not, right? It's a good duty station. You got the base. You're the training petty officer. It sounds like you're doing everything in your rate, but it's also not overwhelming, right? Because you don't got as much to do. Did the MACMs do it? Or did you guys run everything yourself, or were you a part of the base? Because I think there was a time where the security forces was like their own command, right? And not one base.
Yeah, we felt, you know Terry Woodcock, right? We fell under Terry Woodcock. He was the base CMC. So yeah, we pretty much done our own thing down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the MACMs did a good job of training up all the MA1s.
Right. Correct.
Even though you knew there was a lot of blocking and traffic, how did you guys work your way through that? Do you remember?
I didn't pull an EP there. I came there with a P. I didn't even leave there with a transfer, and that's kind of bad in the game, knowing what I know,
Yeah.
I left with a transfer MP. It was just that many people there, man.
But was it a rank? Was it a hard rank MP?
Oh, yeah. Hard breakout MP. It was hard break, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you go to after Okinawa?
That's when I went to the Brig in Charleston. So I went to Lackland to go to Brig School, and then I went to Charleston, South Carolina from 11 to 14.
So you managed to hit Charleston multiple times throughout your career.
Because that's where the ex-wife was at, and I always tried to get back to the kids, Yeah.
Yeah.
Charleston's pretty much been that's only been my only shore duty back stateside. You know me,
Okay.
I'm a 7 fleet guy. Out of my 30, I think
Yeah.
I've been in Japan, 14? Yeah.
Okay.
Bahrain
And
twice
so,
and Cuba once. Yeah.
right. So you get back to Charleston, you're at the Brig. What are you doing personally in your career to help make sure you can find success now? Because you just was at that Okinawa job for 3 years and you was blocked. Felt like you had good mentors. You said people you remember fondly, probably leaders that gave you good advice. Were you able to take that advice and put it to action at the Brig?
Oh yeah, I came to the Brig first 8 months hitting the ground running. Sailor of the Year, first time there, 2011. Um, Messed around and didn't make board. I was trying to work things out with the ex. But
Mm,
was I? No, I wasn't. Yeah, I was just trying to just get the time with the kids. I wasn't studying. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't study.
okay. Okay.
No, I did make board, Gary. I made board.
Okay.
Yeah. Second time around, no, I was putting it in. Yeah, because I think I had people stuck in traffic because I got there. I was number 2 EP, and I stayed number 1 EP the whole time there, and that's where I made
Okay.
chief there.
So looking back at that period, can you give me 2 or 3 things that you did consistently that helped you not only rise to the top of the pack, but maintain that place? Do you remember? Like, was there 2 or 3 things that you specifically did to make you be that guy?
Oh yeah. So once I made that Sailor of the Year, he made me sponsorship coordinator, and he made me the it's called prisoner management. Those are the guys who run the prisoners back there in the back, and that's the main job there. So I took that prisoner management LPO, and usually anybody who sits that spot back there, I know for a fact I've been keeping up with it. It's like 8-0. Everybody back there, they make chief after that spot back there. So once you get
Okay.
that, and I was first class FCPO president. So yeah, I had
So
I had all. I had it all.
so
Yeah.
leadership of your peers, right? FCP first class petty officer mess. So they selected you to be their guy, right?
Right.
Which is people don't understand how huge that is. That's a huge one because that shows your own peers recommend you to be the leader, right? The sponsorship piece is a huge human resource program that if you can make that work, it's going to be great. And then you were doing
Right.
one of the prime missions, which is managing the actual Brig person, like the people that were being housed there.
Right. Right.
Okay. Which is got a lot of respect in your community
Yeah.
for that job, right? Which I think matters. Okay. And so you pick up chief while you're there?
19 years, 8 months on terminal.
No kidding. You were that far in the Navy at that point, and you were on terminal leave?
I was on terminal, bro. Yeah. That was it. Remember,
Whoa.
I come in 94. It was 2014. So when you met me on the Aspen, that was the first year, man.
Okay. I remember that. I think I remember that part, but I don't think I recognized you was on terminal leave when you made chief.
Yeah.
Or if I did, I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, looking back at your career, do you think it sounded like White Beach is what really held you up, man, because you was putting in the work, but not getting the opportunities or not getting someone that was going to give you the opportunity,
Right.
even though you was probably doing the work. They let you be stuck in traffic as a senior MA1 or as a senior sailor in general.
Right.
And then you got to the Brig, and then the not making board a few times hurt you, right? Okay, got it. And so what was that thinking like when you made chief on terminal leave? Were you just like, did you not think about it? Like, I'm not doing that, but I'm getting out. I'm rolling.
Well, I had a job. I had a good paying job and everything. Already lined up. Again,
Right.
being the networking guy. So, me and Marshall just had got married in 2012, and I asked her. I was like, and I knew I hadn't been to sea, but I knew what I needed to do. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and stay. I knew the detailer. I knew the MA detailer. Told him, I don't care where you send me in Japan, make it FDN and put me on the ship. That's when I came to the Ashland.
Okay, so you met Marcelia during that Brig tour.
I knew Marshilla in '99 in Yoko.
Okay.
We just went our different ways. Yeah, she was married. I was married. We both got divorced, and then Facebook brought us back together in 2010, and we started dating, and then we married in 2012.
And she did 20 years in the Navy as well. She was like a dental tech, right?
Original dental tech.
Yeah. And so when you guys ended up reconnecting, was she still Navy or was she just recently retired?
She retired in 2014. So she finished her last 2 years at the NOSC in Charleston.
Okay, and that's where y'all really got the chance to get back together again. Was her at the NOSC, and you there at the brig duty.
Correct.
But that helps, right? That helps having a spouse that speaks Navy and understands what's going on. Because here you are, terminal leave, about to make all these other plans, pick up Chief. How was initiation for you through that process? Did they really ride you hard going through initiation?
Oh yeah. Because I hadn't been to a ship since 2000, right? So they gave me the business, But I it's mind games. But I was like, okay, you guys ain't thinking I'm an MA. I don't have to go to a ship, I don't have to go to a ship. But once I made,
you went through initiation
in Charleston.
In Charleston, with the base or like with the weapon station?
With the base. Oh, they encompassed it all.
Okay.
Yeah, people come up from Columbus, Kings Bay, or Columbus, Georgia. I know people come up though. A lot of NOSC come up. The NOSC is there. All the NOSC in the Southeast region, they come up and get. So it's a lot of us.
But I mean, here you are coming off terminal leave. You are making Chief Petty Officer. Had all these other plans. Had all these life changes. What was that like for you going through that initiation process? And did you get from it what did you have any hope of what you wanted from it? Because you probably wanted to make Chief for a few years and wanted to go through initiation.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Did it meet your expectation?
Oh yeah. It did.
Okay.
It did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it prepare you to go to sea as a Chief Petty Officer and find success?
Believe it or not, I think I just navigated my way on the Ashland, just being being a boatswain mate. I think it just prepares you. You just know how to navigate once you get on the ship, man. If you've been a boat and you done all the decking, you done all the ecking, all that stuff, you just know how to navigate once you get on the ship.
Okay.
Once I stepped on board as an MA, I knew what to do, so it wasn't hard for me.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that now because I want to get to Ashland. And ladies and gentlemen, I had the opportunity to serve with this man on Ashland, and if you just heard his story, as you're paying attention, he was retiring from the Navy on terminal leave, make Chief Petty Officer, and he is now a Master Chief Petty Officer, Command Master Chief Petty Officer at 30 years. So this next period of time we're going to talk about, I think is probably very, very, very special because very few people manage to do what you have done, right? And I give that to you because I got to be there to see at least 2 years of it. And it's not just God, I think it was your ability to be calm, be consistent, sustain spirit performance, and to let people give you opportunities to capitalize on things, right?
Yeah,
they would give you the opportunity, you to say thank you, and you would just capitalize on it.
So fell right into place, didn't it, bro? Fell right into place for me.
It sure did, man. And you did it so smooth, man. You did it so smooth, and you did it with such grace. And okay, so we're gonna get into it. So when you get to Sasebo, right, and you get to, because you've never been to Sasebo yet. It's your first time going to Sasebo, right?
Right.
And you're going to an LSD. You've never been on a Gator before.
Never been on a Gator.
Right? And again, for those of you that don't, the Navy, Gators are a little bit different than the other ships, right? It's just a little different Navy, little different type of people thing, mission, right? The mission set's different. And then Sasebo, it's a small base, right? It doesn't got a lot going for itself, even though it's gotten better. What did you think as a MA who'd been off the ships for a while, first year chief, when you got to the Ashland? How was that for you?
Believe it or not, man, I come there to make senior chief. I knew I come there to grind, and I had already read the letter, and I knew what I had to do. And I knew a lot of MAs hated going to sea. And like you said, having a wife who spoke the language, she knew we had to go. I mean, before you got there, G-Dub, out of 356 days out of the year, we were going 300 out of 2015. We were going. So I knew I had to get the grind in. And like you said, I'm not going to speak on my man's position. The way I fell into that position I fell in, it worked out perfectly for me, man. It worked.
Are you talking about the guy that was there before you?
No. The guy for me to fall into that top MP position.
Okay.
Instead, checking on board, 9 months on board, pulling a high MP, that position.
So let's talk about that, though. We don't got to talk about anybody in particular, but when you got there, again, that's a tough year, right? And that's because you guys got pulled to do that Saipan stuff, right?
Right.
But what was, because I'm curious, right? What was the culture? What was the feel of the Chiefs mess or the crew during that first year on board? Was it just overworked and ragged? Was it just everybody just going through the motions and nobody really caring? What was that like for you?
I think a lot of them just going through the motion and didn't care. Didn't see the eye to eye with the CMC on there. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Was he there the whole time with you for that year?
Oh, yeah. Steve was. Yeah, he was.
Okay. You know what's funny about that is him and I walked off the George Washington together, right? Together, right? He walked off, and we're friends. I would love to have him on the show someday. But we did the GW together. Both made Master Chief on board the George Washington, and he was going to be CMC for Ashland, and I was going to SWAS Norfolk to be an instructor at the DC Senior Enlisted School. So when I got orders to go to Ashland, when I looked it up to see who the CMC was, I was like, oh snap! Like I know that, like, bro, that's crazy. And then of course I knew the CO at the time too from a past life as well. When you look at your first year on board Ashland, again, you made a lot of progress, right? You got to be a ranked MP your first eval.
Correct.
Right? What was it that caused you to find success there? Was it because as an MA, you're at a disadvantage on the ship, right? Because you got a very small group. You had a strong PSCS or PSC at the time, right? And Ray Giron, right? Who's another legend. I got to get Ray on here, right?
He's about to retire, man. He's right here with me. He's right next door to me.
I hit him up already once.
Yeah.
I'll get at him. I got plenty of time. I'm playing long game. We got plenty of time. But so you have him, and he's a shaker and a mover. I'm sure he's a player. But what I always heard about that Chiefs mess before I got there, you had very strong engineering people as well, right? That were kind of running the mess.
You had two beasts down there. You had two beasts down there. I think it worked out for me because they liked me.
Okay.
Don Hewen, is that how you pronounce it? Hewen? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I never met him.
Yeah, I think he's like one of the top HTCMs in the game. Was one of the top HTCMs in the game.
Yeah.
I think Ty came with you, and you know Ty, but yeah, those guys ran it.
Yeah, Ty came after me. Ty came after me. Okay, so first year on the ship, though.
McEwen. Don McEwen, McCUEN.
Yeah, he left before I got there. And then you had Carlos there. Well, how long was Carlos there with you?
Carlos was there the whole time with me until he put on Command Senior Chief and went to what, Patriot or which one? He went to one of those sweeps.
One of the sweeps, yeah. I think it was Patriot. How important was that relationship for you? Because when I got there, he was like your mentor, right? On the ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
It worked well for me because he taught me, he started me off as a stretcher bearer, then he raised me up to investigator, and then he put me on Decade and just let me run the show. And I was a Decade investigator. And brought us through that Decade, brought us through that exercise. Once Pat got on board, we ran that, and everything, the rest was history.
Okay, so you get done with your first year. I come on board after the first year. What do you remember for that next couple of years when you look back on your career for Ashland? Any in particular high points or anything you want to cover for that period of time?
Oh, yeah, man. I give you a lot of kudos. I don't know if you remember this, but I have a very good memory. You would always see me sit up on that deck up there, and you and Patrick would always walk around, man. And you was like, you told me, T, what are you gonna do, man? You coming up on retirement? I hadn't made 8 yet, but I knew I was in the game with that eval you wrote me. I was like, okay, coming here with an MP, and this dude just hit me with a I never forget what it says, meteoric rise to EP, 10 years, something on board. And I was like, yeah. I said this to Marcia, she was like, yeah, you in the game. And I remember telling Pat, I was like, hey, I know you guys gonna see the results first, so if I make it, I want you to play Atomic Dog from the frat, right? So me and Jeff Carroll was sitting there, we'd always get up early and we'd go down to the mess decks. That Atomic Dog came on. Like 20 minutes later, you came down and you just stood in front of me and Jeff Carroll. You was like, and dapped us up. But you always asked me what I wanted to do because I was at like 22 years there. I was like, man, I'm going for the ghost though. I want to be a CMC. You laid the plan out for me, man. You laid it out for me, and I took the helm. And it's not about me, but you're asking me what I done, and that's exactly what I done, brother. You stuck with me, and I took it, man.
It was timing plus preparation, bro. And I would tell you, I remember for me having those conversations with you because it's like I'm managing talent, right? I got all these goats, I got all these chiefs, and I'm throwing red meat to the lions. And you were one of my solid people. You never ever did me dirty. You never threw my name under the bus. Matter of fact, you held me down. And you know now as a CMC, it could be a lonely job.
Yeah, very.
People don't know. It could be and on the ship, especially because there's so much involved, especially when like our mess really ran the ship. Like we really ran that ship.
Yeah.
Like the captain, all he cared about was what the Chiefs mess wanted to do.
Right.
At the end of the day, what the Chiefs say, because then the XO was going to make sure the department heads was aligned and we was on the same page. But I remember I was always looking at, all right, is T gonna, if I keep spending this money, is he gonna make it keep on working? Because you were, yeah, that was huge because you had other Chiefs that was trying to work their way up too, but they couldn't match what you was doing, and it was almost you went against the grain, in my opinion, because of your seniority. Some people wouldn't have bet on that, right? They wouldn't let you get passed by a younger person, and you just kept outbeating them when it came to the work, right? And that was and to the loyalty, and that was what really for me. But that was why I would ask you. I would ask you because I'm like, all right, bro, how can I defend this conversation when someone else come ask me, hey Gary, how come I got number 2 or number 3 and I didn't get X, Y, or Z, right? And I would always tell you like you had to do more because of your position, and you always said okay. And then one of my other things is I remember there was one time you kind of got pulled into some stuff with a program, and I love your trust because when people get into a situation that they got to come have a hard conversation, they usually don't trust. They usually don't trust, right? They usually lose their mind. They usually start lawyering up, start saying, oh, well, I'm going to fight this, blah, blah, blah. Most times, if you just trust the process, it really will work. But that only works.
The UPC situation?
Yeah. And I'm not going to put all that out there because it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? But for me, it was how you handled it, right? And now you look at it as a CMC when you got to hold the line on things or you got to deal with certain stuff. If the people will trust you, they'll get a fair result because you're an authentic CMC that been through stuff, right? The challenge is not everybody gets to deal with that, right? And I think the other thing is how you got done dirty as a young seaman. That probably affected you your whole career, right? And your ability. I remember we'd be at DRB or we'd be any part in the process. You would always have that good sense of perspective on giving somebody a chance to come through it. And I love a good comeback story, right? I love to see somebody take a punishment like, and bounce back, take it on the chin and bounce back. Let's talk about our mess dynamic real quick on board that ship because it was an interesting mess, right? Right. We had when I think back to the power players, and in my opinion, there's also the time with Kevin Miller and the time without Kevin Miller.
Fox.
Bro, because he was such a major impact in that mess, bro.
Right.
Like
Right.
he left a huge gap when he transferred off the ship,
Yeah.
right? Because when he was good, he was amazing. But when
Yeah.
he was bad, bro, I wanted to sit on
He was
him.
bad.
He was, because he was just, he was dirty, not like dirty in a bad way, but he's from Atlanta. He dirty South, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he couldn't help himself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He couldn't help himself. It was just, he was that dude always.
Dude.
And I remember I could see where other people just didn't like his get down, right? And they it would be polarized. Whereas for me, you know what's funny about him is he was down in Texas after he left Ashland, and I was down in Guam, and I needed something, right? And I might have gone through you or somebody else to get a hold of him to get some help. And I remember he brought me back, "What's up, boss? What you need?" And he gave me everything. He was a senior chief at the time.
Yep. He made 8. You're right.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure. So did Abby, right? So did Abby.
Oh yeah, Abby's over here with me too. She's over here with me. Yeah.
Is she a mass chief now?
She's 8. I see her every day.
Senior chief. But they both made senior chief, right?
Mhm.
And I remember they were both chiefs in medical department, and it was tough because she was IDC, he was a straight stick, but he had seniority, and again, talent management, right? Had to manage them both, but they both got stars.
Yeah.
Right? They both got stars. But Kevin, for me, he was one of my first big challenges as a CMC. But he was, bro. But I bet on him, man. I don't know if he ever knows that. We never had that conversation. But I look at that tour as before he left and then after he left, because that changed my. And then when Louis came in, right? Because Louis brought a different energy.
Louis picked up 9 out here.
Yeah,
Louis
and Louis brought a different energy, right? He was a team player from the jump, which was not as complicated, right? Because I think, for sure. And then the other challenge was, of course, managing my senior chiefs on board that ship, because that was, you now know as a CMC, right? There's a reason why we say you can't trust an even number chief.
Yeah.
They can be crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move off Ashland, what do you think? Because we did very well on that ship.
Oh yeah.
We went from being, and look, I give our generation, I will tell you, we played a significant part in all the success that came to Ashland, because it takes time for everything to play out. You don't just get Battle E and go green and insert because of what you did for the last 2-3 months. It's because what you did for the last 2-3 years.
That's it, bro. That's
right?
it.
And so when we left the ship, because you and I left the ship at damn near the exact same day. Right? And do you remember how I was feeling when I left the ship? Did I talk to you about that?
Count about with the skipper, the old skipper?
No, not really with that. No, because Wasson was the CO, and
no,
that's
not
my
him,
guy.
No, not him.
Before him. Nothing about that dude. Not
okay.
Because that was a year past, right?
Okay.
That was a year past. But you were leaving. Chris was leaving. We had some new guys come in.
Yeah.
But I remember I was done. Like, I would look around and things were going so damn good that I was bored, man. I was like, I got nothing to do. I'm just getting in people's way right now, because we had done so much work. It was bloody at first. I used to tell people I'm up to my elbows in just blood, because we was just having to.
You didn't talk about it there in Sasebo, but me and you was walking up the street in Yoko. We came up there for Trav, and you had got the word you was going to Blue Ridge. You talked about it then. You was, yeah. I remember.
And I had put it into the universe, bro. I had prayed and I had said, God, like, I feel like, and I was even thinking about retirement, right?
Really?
I really bro, because I did what I wanted to do. I was a CMC of a ship, but some of it just left me with a bad taste in my mouth, right?
Yeah.
And you know me, bro.
Yeah.
I don't play. Like I'll tell you, I can't just keep it to myself. If we got a problem, let's meet in the mess. We're gonna have a conversation.
That's
Right?
it. Let's have
We're
a
gonna get to it, right?
conversation.
However you want to do it. However you want to do it. I'm here for
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about like, you know, like I don't know that I want to keep doing this over and over again. I did it once, but my family, I was worried about them. I was worried about just the stress of doing the job, and I didn't know that it was going to continue to pay off, right?
Right.
And here's the other thing for me, bro. That's a hard ship to beat. Like what we did on Ashland was super special. I don't know that we would ever do that again anywhere else.
Oh no, man. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like where we went from being a ship that had so many things that were not going well to being literally the best in the Pacific, right?
Yes,
like
the best, right?
and we knew we were. We knew
Yeah.
we were, right? You could everything that came our way, we cracked it out the park. It got to be where remember we used to say just no redos, right?
Yep.
No redos.
No redos, yeah.
And we would line it up and be in the right order. We get in the mess and we would just talk it out for the next however long, and then we would just execute, right?
That's
It was, and so I was thinking, I'm never gonna beat this. So what if I just punched out and went on to do something else for my own life? Then that 7th Fleet job came, right? And I looked at that as a blessing in some ways. In other ways, it was not a blessing. But what that job showed me was I don't want to go into that world, right? Like it was some sucker stuff for me, bro. Like being a flag guy, nah, that's not for me. That's for some people, but not for me, right? But I was ready to go, and so that worked out. When you left Ashland, you were as senior chief, and you were going to NECC in Virginia.
Little Creek, yep.
Little Creek. And I remember being worried for you because I knew what your goals were, but I felt like that staff duty was not the best place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you. But you got there and you know, Steve Wasson, he always talks to me about blooming where you're planted. Right? Like you can't always control where you get put in the ground, but you can't control how much sun you could make the best out of the situation. Is that what happened for you at NECC?
Oh my God, bro, went there and killed it. 1 of 31. Went there and killed it. What there were those bees, man. Those CBs, I don't know. I guess they just love MAs. But it's like the brown water side of the house. And I got up there into that MA shop, took over ATO and ran it. I got there, same position. Somebody got in trouble. Number one MP. Next year, number 3 EP. Leaving up out of there, 5-0, number 1. And it wasn't a transfer EP. It was an actual write-up, 5-0 EP. And that's what pushed me over. I got down there with the CBs and first time up, MACM.
Well, and we were writing your evals pretty strong for the CMC program, right? And I would tell you strategically for me, that's telling the board, you make this guy a mass chief, he's going to convert over to the program. You're going to get that bill back for your community in the next year, right? Now, some people just do that and they don't convert over to CMC. Let's be honest. No. They just hedging their bets, right? But I'm at the board. I don't know if have you sat the board yet?
Yeah, I said it in 24.
So at the board, those are the kinds of things you're gonna talk about, right? Like this guy could go CMC or MACM, so he's a dual threat. That's gonna give you some value over someone who's not writing their evals that way, right?
Yes,
and strategically, that was always my strategy for the guys that that I thought would be good for the program or be good to go into that community.
Right.
And for CBs, I got the chance to work with a bunch of them over in Guam. I love them dudes because they so real. I love them, bro. They're
gonna tell you how it is.
They are. I love them for that, bro. Like
Mhm.
they are not gonna stab you. They'll stab you right in the front. I love that
Oh,
part.
yeah.
Like
Yeah. Them boys don't
let's
play,
have
man.
I can have a good knife fight. I like
Yeah.
that part. I hate when I
Yeah.
get stuck in the back and I don't see it coming and you
Yep.
snuffing me, right? I don't like
Yep.
that. Yeah, so I could see where they were respecting your get down. And then of course you had that captain that came off of the New Orleans, or is he on or Green Bay? He was the Green Bay skipper.
Nate Moyer.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
another real one.
Yep.
He's another real one, right? Like that
Yep.
dude is a real one, bro. Like
Yep.
I feel like I think he retired, right?
Oh yeah, he gave it up after he left. After he left NECC because he went back as the cause.
See, I tell you what, I think the Navy missed out on one that making him an admiral because he would have been amazing, right?
Oh yeah.
He was just solid guy, man.
Yeah, he was.
So you pick up Master Chief out of
Uh-huh.
NECC, and
Right.
are you at the end of your tour then when you make it?
Yeah, that was a high tenure. That was 20 had 26 in. I'm going to some light, Gary. Hold on, bro. Hold on. I'm going upstairs.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Bro got to go to the other wing of his house.
Dark as hell. That's bad. Yeah, good. I pick up 9 and put in for the program first time up. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you. So you pick up Master
Okay,
Chief
okay.
and you apply for the CMC
Mhm.
program. Did you think about not applying for the program, or did you think about it?
No, I no, because you remember I told you on the ship I wanted to do it, so I knew I was going to do it. Yeah, and Brian Bellafay, he was the CMC down there.
Yep.
You know Brian?
I
Yeah,
do. Well,
yeah,
I know
he wrote it up for
we've
me.
yeah, we spoke about you as a matter of fact, right? We spoke
Yeah.
about you as a matter of fact. He hit me up offline. We talked about you, and then of course we've networked, right? So I don't think we've ever crossed paths in person, but we're connected, and we spoke about you a few times, and then
Mhm.
just life in general, right? Especially when I was retiring, and he was and when I was in Guam working with the Seabees, right?
Right.
I remember and the reason why I asked is because I remember when I made DC Master Chief, right? And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought about not going CMC for a hot minute, right? Because I thought
Really?
about it, like, okay, I'm a Master Chief now, and I made Master Chief in 16 years, and so I was like, do I go to
remember.
the program? Do I not go to the program? I was kind of hemming and hawing, but then I was like, I got to put my money where my mouth is. I told everybody I was gonna go. Like, I got to go ahead and stand on my business and go do that, right?
Right.
So when you applied for the program, and you got it, right? What was your first CMC duty station? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, Okinawa. So really, I stayed in for him because I was, they call it the FRO in the CB world. I think we call it ombudsman, but they call it the FRO, the family readiness officer. So I was, you're right, I was due to retire. I was due to retire again, and they kept me back while they were on deployment in Spain because the CBs in Gulfport, they go to Spain back 6 months Spain. Well, 12 months in port and then 6 months in Spain. So while they were in Spain, the results came out. I had made MACM, and then they left me behind to be the family readiness officer. And you put the package in right after you make 9, and shit, I come right up and I made it. So I got my first taste of being a little bit, see him, sit in the seat for him while he was gone.
Yeah.
So 6 months while they were gone, knocked it out the box, knocked it out the park, and my first one was back to Okinawa, back to Japan at 3rd Medical Battalion. I went greenside.
3rd Medical Battalion. And I remember us having that conversation, and you were asking me like, "Hey Gary, what do you think? You go to a ship?" And I think I gave you the advice to not go to a ship. And I'll be honest with you, T. When I look back on my career, I think that if I would have not gone to a ship, it might have been different. Right?
Really?
Like if I would have gone to an aviation squadron or something like that,
Yeah.
that shit took a lot out of me, bro. Like that, and uh, I just looking back on it, I think that while it was so great for a lot of things, it set up my trajectory to go a different way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because in the CMC community, people start pulling you down a road, and it's
Yeah.
almost like you can't stop it, right?
Right.
And I was so immature that, and I wanted to get off the ship, that when the opportunity came, I took it, right?
Right.
And then when I was at 7th Fleet staff, believe it or not, regardless of what happened with Erica and her medical and people and
Right.
their fraternization or whatever it was, truth be told, I had already prayed that prayer of I'm done here. Like 18 months and I got the job done.
And
Like I'm
Guam,
looking at no at
7th
7th
Fleet or
Fleet
Guam?
staff,
Oh, yeah.
7th Fleet. I already knew 18 months I was done. I was
Mhm.
already looking at the window like I don't like this place. I'm ready to go. But and so then the universe does not always know. It doesn't always communicate in the way you want it to, but it will
Correct.
give you what you're asking for, right?
Right.
And I got that. And then in Guam, I was done in 2 years, but I had
Yeah.
to stay there for another year to retire. And then that last year was hell
I know.
because it was just I'm waiting to go, right? Waiting to go somewhere, and people are jackasses.
Yeah. Yep. I
But you
remember
know
that.
what's funny? Hey, but you know what? Still standing, dog.
Still standing,
Still
baby.
standing strong. 10 toes down, baby.
10 toes down,
Right?
baby. Yes,
And,
sir.
and let my voice be heard. And that's it. And it's just not everyone's gonna understand what people are trying to do. So when you got to the medical battalion in Okinawa, you've got FTNF experience. You're now the command master chief. How was that tour for you as a CMC?
So being that I had plenty of leadership, I just had to learn that medical terminology. And just
Okay.
like I'm blessed with this tour, man, I had 2 HMCMs there. So I let them run the bodies. I just took care of the CO and XO.
There you
So
go.
it's
And
yeah.
And that's green side stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like y'all are
Yeah.
working with the Marines. So you're dealing
Oh,
with the Sergeant Major. How was that?
it was good. It worked out well. He wasn't
Well,
he
and you
wasn't
had
a
that
power he wasn't that power hungry type one, And a lot of them
right,
are young. So, being young, they make Sergeant Majors real young, 19, 20
right.
years. So they look up to that, that time in. So they didn't too much, give me no hard time or anything. And there's so many
Well, and
Sergeant Majors out there in Okinawa because you got
yeah.
Hanson, you got Shields, you got 6 or 7 bases out there, Marine Corps
Yeah.
bases,
Well, and you had that green side time with Ashland where you got the chance to learn to work with Marines.
Right.
People don't understand. We had such a good working relationship with the Marines,
Yeah, we
at least
did.
when I was there,
Yep.
that we were team. We was a team,
Yep.
right? And you had Chris Moore when you were down there as well,
Yeah.
right? He was,
Yep.
and he's solid, right? He was at HMCM that converted CMC, did all that green side stuff. And
Yep.
was you there with Dan Field too, or did you relieve Dan? Is that what happened?
Dan Fields? No, Dan Fields was
Yeah.
down there with you. He was down there with you on 7th Fleet.
But before he was 7th Fleet, though, he was down the 3rd MLG.
Yeah, he probably spent some down in Okie. He did. He probably did.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Was that an 06 command?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I come out doing 06 commands.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big was your first Chiefs mass as a CMC?
22.
Okay.
22, and this one right here with the ITs and ETs, I think I'm sitting at 30.
Okay. And so then when you I knew you wanted to go to Bahrain. And your reasons for that was just because you like the overseas lifestyle. You enjoy being the mission set.
Yeah.
How much different was it going to Bahrain as a CMC than when you did it in your past life?
Oh, very different. Very different. Yeah, because I know the MA lingo. I'm with a bunch of geeks, man.
Okay.
Yeah. These kids are smart, super duper smart. But yeah, a bunch of ITs and ETs. But you have to know that who were we just talking about? They're in the same field with me. Me and I was just talking about them. Steve. Steve's at IWTG. So he's
who?
Brunder.
He's where?
He was with IWTG, but he just took another 05 command because I just saw it in the weekly. He was with he's back in VA with a computer command.
But he was in Bahrain.
No. VA, Little Creek. He was in Little Creek.
Oh, but he was doing the information warfare stuff.
Right.
He's still in the Navy. Like I look at what I'm still in that group, right? So I still see all the emails and I still see all of the advertisements for the weekly or whatnot. I just, you know, God bless the guys that are still doing it. God, you know, I knew that I wanted to get out and start working on my life after the Navy earlier because, you know,
Yeah.
I got a lot of goals. I got things that I'm working on for
Right.
my family and for my kids. But some of these guys, I watch them do the jobs that they're going to. I hope they're able to keep their energy.
Oh, and he's way behind me, so I don't think he's even at 30 yet.
No, he was young. He was young.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
remember multiple conversations. He would tell me he was going to retire, going to get out, whatever. But people I know, they're afraid to get out, man. And it's everyone comes to it their own way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone comes to their own time because it's hard to leave something you gave so much of your life to and then to go do something else. It's always bittersweet a little bit, right? It's always bittersweet a little bit. I think the Navy, I think the armed forces should change their retirement to being like 60 years old, as long as you can meet all the requirements for your age group.
And do everything.
People I might have stuck around. You know, if you're telling me I got to get out no matter what at 50 years old, then I'm already looking at the door, bro. Like I'm thinking twice about what I'm doing because I know what I want. And that's it. Right. Yeah. And I feel like they're missing an opportunity for that. Me personally. Okay. So now you're getting ready to retire.
10 months, baby.
And is there a reason why you're choosing to retire or not? Because you can go past 30 now as a CMC just at an 06 command. Right. Are you just ready to go?
Yeah, and it's a such thing as age waiver in the real world. And she's ready. Wife is ready, so I've done my time.
Yeah, you did. Bro, you not only did your time, you took time back, homie. You took time back. Like
12 years over, right?
You did that. No, you man, again, I think you seized the opportunity, bro. Not everyone recognizes when opportunities are passing them by, they can just reach out and grab it. Right? Some people so busy complaining, they miss the chances right in front of them, right? To make it work. And then God did, right? God did, right?
No doubt.
For sure.
No doubt.
All right, man, we're going to get ready to land this thing here. I'm going to come through with some quick questions for you. Okay. Don't nuke it.
Okay.
Right? Just kind of answer the questions, and we will wrap this thing up. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right, let's go. Let's see here. Make this come up. All right. Do you remember when was the first moment that you was just like, damn, I'm really in the Navy, bro? Like, do you remember when it hit you? Was it when you got to the Moose Burger? Was it boot camp?
Yeah, boot camp. When I got asthma twice, and I was like, "Hey, I'm in this thing, man." That was it. Hey, her and I talk about that all the time. She was like, "You too busy trying to chase these women. That's why your butt got set back twice." Yeah. Well, I know I was in the game then. Yeah.
You know, I had a young man in my class this week. I had to hold him accountable for something, right? And the way I am, I'm not really going to hit you in your grade, right? Because for me, that's like, in my opinion, that's too real. I'd rather hit you with a collateral duty hit, right? The things you care about, right? I'll
take it away from me.
Well, and you know that I believe don't ever fire somebody without having a way to hire him in the future, right? You got to give him a chance to recover, right? But I got to make it sting to the point that you recognize I'm not playing with you no more, right? And I did that, right? And I made sure he felt that consequence. So much so, and actually I hit him with the first one because he was disrespectful, right? I'm teaching the class. He got up on his cell phone when I'm teaching. You're not supposed to do that. And when I was going to get him from where I had sent him to, all he had to do was apologize, and we would have been good. But he didn't do that. He had negative energy, like I did him wrong.
Right.
I'm like, okay, bro, that's not gonna work for me. You don't understand. You messed up. And so now I'm gonna double tap you real quick and really hit you hard. And I like 2 days later, his mom called me up and she was like, "Hey, Master Chief, he's really upset." We talked like 45 minutes on a conversation.
Yeah.
And I said, "Ma'am, if he would have just came to me and just said, MC, I'm sorry, man, we would have already moved on. I already got a
Yeah.
path to get him right." I said,
Right.
"But because you called me and you had this conversation, I'll extend the grace to you and we'll work it out." But he needs to understand that in life, there's consequences and you
Yeah.
don't always get to dictate what the result is.
That's
Right.
it.
And that's how I see you getting those asmos, right? Getting
Yeah.
asmo in boot camp. That's
Yeah.
you getting hit with the consequences of your actions,
Yep.
and you just having to process how to deal through that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And look, you're in the military, you're gonna get institutionalized.
Oh
If
yeah.
you don't, you're gonna suffer, right?
Yeah.
If you don't buckle, if you don't break, you're gonna suffer.
We'll
You've
suffer,
got to
bro.
learn how to process it and learn how to work within the rule book a little bit,
That's it.
right?
You
And,
just got
and
to know
make
how to
it work.
move, man. Like we say, you got to know how to move. You have to know how
I
to
know how
move
to
in this
move.
work.
Got to be able to walk up. Got to be able to walk underwater. Move in a room full of vultures, right? Like Jay-Z said. You got to be able to
That's
move in a
it.
room full of vultures. I still think like that to this day.
Yep.
Your Mac 10 said you got to dance underwater and not get wet, man.
You wet.
All right.
Crab in the barrel.
What do you see, Mac? Or I call you Mac because you use my
Yeah,
MAC.
yeah.
But T, what do you see, T, as being one of the biggest leadership challenges for people today?
Trying to be friends with their sailors, with their subordinates. Trying
Tough,
to be
huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough, bro. Especially when you care,
Yeah.
right? Because you
Yep.
care, and so and you want them to care about you in return, but it can get real shitty real quick.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Yep.
Because they'll flip
You
the
gotta
script when they don't get their way. They will flip the script, man.
1,000%, man. And you
Yeah.
gotta ride it out too. You
Yeah.
gotta ride it out, and it can be lonely at the top.
Yep.
I get it, bro.
You know,
But
out of all people, you know.
Oh, I know. But that's why you got to keep people like your wife, like Erica, for me, for you, Marcilia, people you can network with, and people that really know who you are, and they
Right.
know that, because you can't control it when you step into the arena, and you're the man in the arena. You can't control the shots that are going to come your way. I used to, when I was at Guam, I would do these town halls, right? Family town halls, especially
Yeah.
during COVID, right? And when you overseas town halls, people just go for the fireworks,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah.
People want to go see the CMC get asked some crazy question,
Yep.
or the CO get asked some crazy question, or the Admiral, right? I used to
Yep.
get in the front of the whole movie theater, and I'd be like, "Hey, look, y'all know me, so go ahead and throw whatever fruit you want to throw at me. Just know I throw back."
Right. Got it. Yep.
I throw back. And ain't nobody want to chime me because they knew I was gonna hit them with that. Hey, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. And my CO was a war fighter too, so we had no problems.
Right.
Okay. As a dad, and you've now got adult children. And are you a grandfather now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you a granddaddy on top of that. Is there a way that you would recommend to parents to best use leadership skills in helping to raise their children as a parent? Any advice there?
I know you say not to nuke it. Believe it or not, man, I never got a whooping. Never. No switch or nothing. I just got those stern talking tos, and that mentality you said you just used on that kid, stuff they knew I liked, they take it away. That hurt me more than anything. Because they know, I guess they knew probably like hitting me. They probably like, okay, this dude, he's gonna forget about it anyway and go back doing what he was doing. I think that stern talking to, but stay continuously talk to him. Because my oldest, he's been to the pen. He had to realize. My oldest, AJ, he was with me in Okie. Done some crazy, just dumb stuff, being dumb. Done a year in the pen, but got out, and that's the one got me the 2 granddaughters. But he got his life together now. Works for UPS, does very well in Atlanta.
I think communication is always one of the main
Yeah,
things,
that's
right?
it. You got to communicate
And
with them.
hey, I remember I used to tell you when the sailors are talking, we're doing okay,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
the more information they give us, the better we're doing. It's way
That
that way at least we know what they're saying.
hey, that E3 underground, that's a real thing, man.
It really
That
is.
underground,
Yeah,
hey, those
it
kids know
really
everything.
is.
They know
Yeah,
everything.
the sailors always know, bro. I say the same thing to my students. I tell them the students always know. So, the students always know. It's the same thing. All right.
Yes, sir.
What's a piece of advice you would give to someone struggling? Like when you was at White Beach, right, as an MA1 and you were stuck in traffic, or even at that brig duty coming to the end of your time in the Navy and just trying to figure out what you're going to do in life. What's a piece of advice you would give to somebody that feels like they're struggling within an organization and they're not really getting the recognition they feel like they deserve?
I got two pieces of that, Gary. One of them by heart, man. I love it when somebody tells me no. That
Yeah.
makes me thrive. Let no one tell you no. And I go by a storm period. You're in a storm, going through a storm, you're coming out of a storm. But once you come out of that storm, you know everything's going to be brighter. You have to go through something to get what you want, because if it's easy, it's not worth it. You're going to have to go through something.
That's a bar. That's a bar. I love it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some easier stuff now. Hey, it's Saturday night. We're on the ship. We're going to the mess. What you looking forward to, bro? The pizza or the wings?
The wings. The wings.
Okay. The wings. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
next up, hey, bro, I need someone either in the birthing cleaners or the working party. Which one do you want?
Birthing. Birthing.
I get it.
Birthing.
Hey,
Birthing
hey,
warrior.
we're gonna watch a movie in the mess. You want to watch De Niro or Pacino?
Chino.
Pacino. All right. Hey, looking back on your career, do you have a favorite duty station?
Okie.
Okinawa?
Yeah. But ship wise, first ship's always the best. Hey, we were tight knit group of guys. I still keep in touch with some of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Looking back on your career, what was your favorite Liberty port?
Peru.
Peru.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never been to Peru.
Unitas. I hit that in 96 and 98. Peru and Rio. Yeah.
Okay. Looking back on your career, what was the hardest qualification you ever achieved?
This IWPN.
Did you get it?
Yeah, finally.
Good for you. I got my IW pin at 7th Fleet, and it's a whole new thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. I think I know your answer to this, but I'm gonna ask, if you ever gave advice to somebody, would you tell them to do overseas duty or stateside?
Oh yeah, overseas, most definitely.
Sir.
FDNF, you're gonna promote there. FDN, you're gonna promote. If you do what you need to do and hit that FDNF running, you're gonna promote.
Man, I tell you, I love promotion. I love the fact that you can live off a modest income and you can invest and save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not doing too much. And it's simple, right? Like it's a simple life. You're not out here worried about going to Best Buy and Target and all these other things that you think you need to be doing, but you don't really need to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's 100%, man. That was one of the secrets to mine and Erica's success for sure, was that overseas time. Yeah, set us up. Do you have a favorite movie series?
Shoot, man. Hey, I done got back on that Banshee, man. I got Marshall on it.
Banshee is wild, bro.
Oh yeah.
That show. Hey, I can't wait for that mayor of what's it called to come out again.
Kingstown.
Yeah. You got me into that one. You put me onto that one. And then let's see.
Lincoln Lawyer.
I never watched that one yet.
Really?
I never watched that. Is that good?
Yeah. Watch it.
So for those of you that are listening,
start watching it.
Okay. For those of you that are listening, this is one of the conversations that we have. He'll hit me up like, "What are you watching?" Yeah. All right. But the mayor of Kingstown is one you put me on to. And I'm glad they canceled that dang BMF thing, man. That was getting out of control, bro. They was like the damn Avengers.
Yeah.
I
So is
don't
it
know.
done? It's not coming back
Yeah,
on?
he canceled it. Yeah, he
Okay.
canceled it. 50 got rid of that one, man.
Okay.
Old boy got too strong for himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, T. Would you rather be independent or on a team?
On a team. On a team. I love helping people. Love helping. Yeah.
All right. Do you have a personal leadership philosophy?
I think I pretty much, that's it. Let no one tell you no.
Let no one tell
Yeah.
you no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what? I have one in my phone right here, man. It's let me scroll to this, Gary. You got a little bit of time, brother?
Yeah. We got time.
Okay. There's a good one right here, man. It's right here, man. I don't know if you can see it, but can you see that?
You have to read it, bro.
Okay. It says, when a leader walks into the room, the followers feel intimidated. The snakes feel threatened, but the next leaders feel inspired.
It's a great one, bro. I love it. I remember I was on George Washington, and the commanding officer had all the khakis out there in formation, and he's just chewing us out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a senior chief at the time, and he is just yelling at us all like we're horrible leaders. And he's yelling at us in the hangar bay in front of sailors, right? I'll never forget. I had this guy on board the ship named TJ May. You're a big buff AOCM dude, right? big dude. And we get done, and I'm trying to process what just happened, and everyone's already complaining, right? Officers, chiefs, everyone complaining. I look at TJ, and he looked like he ain't got a care in the world. And I was like, hey, TJ, man, what do you think about what the captain just said? He said, I don't think nothing about it, Gary. He wasn't talking to me.
It was real, wasn't
it? Game changer, bro. Like, that's why I learned the skill of saying stuff and watching how people react, right?
Yep.
You know, because I'll get them all in the room and I'll say something and I'll just watch people react, and I can tell, like, all right.
Got him. I got him, coach.
Yep. That's it.
That's what I tell those guys. I tell that man, I say, the eyes tell all. If you think I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. The eyes tell all.
If you think I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. And if
bro.
you want to know more about it, come holler at me, coach.
Come holler at me.
We'll figure it out.
Open door policy.
Because you're not gonna get, you're not gonna get nowhere not asking.
No.
Right? Closed mouths don't get fed. And if you think there's a problem, it probably is. Yep.
That's it.
All right. We got in the mess. We got deck plate leadership, institutional and technical expertise, professionalism, character, loyalty, active communication, and a sense of heritage. Those are the guiding principles from our Chiefs mess. And out of those, which one is your favorite?
Deck plate leadership, man.
Yeah.
Deck plate.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. You gotta be out there on them deck plates, doing it the right way, leading from the front. Yeah. On that working party, sharing the load, right? Down there with them kids, handing the boxes, right?
That's it.
For sure. Set. All right, T, would you rather lead or follow?
You have to follow it in order to lead. So both of them. You have to start somewhere. You ain't gonna just jump in there leading. You're not just gonna jump in there leading, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that it's a strategy, right?
Look,
how many times was I following y'all on the ship, right? Letting y'all lead, because I didn't always want to be the one in that responsibility, that position. Right. But being able to, again, I think people get it misconstrued sometimes when it comes to being a leader. One of the best places for the Chiefs mess to be is back on the tiller, right?
Yep.
Because you can control where the whole ship goes from aft steering.
That's it.
Right? You don't control where the ship goes always from the pilot house or the bow. So if I've got to be able to shift steering to aft steering, that's where I think the most important things are going to make place. Because if you're on the bow, you're not seeing what's going on behind you sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're in the rear, you can see everything. Right?
That's it, man.
I'm a fan of. I love when the Chiefs mess is in the center of the ship too, because when you in the, you on the mess sex, that's the stomach, that's the heart, that's where you got to be.
The gut.
The gut. That's it, bro. All right, man. You have any
All right,
sage
brother.
rounds or alibis, bro?
No, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for having me on. Where can I go view this at, Gary?
I can send you a link to it
Okay.
because it's gonna be a minute before it comes out. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I probably got a good 3 months stocked up right now. I'm just
A lot
kind
of guys
people.
spoke, huh?
Well, I got a bunch. I got one releasing today with Pete Santos.
Pete.
Yeah, I was talking with Captain Wasson, because he's coming down here to serve with me at the school, right? He's gonna be my next senior naval science instructor, and he was like, "How do you got so many people that want to be on there?" I've been blessed with getting to know a lot of people, and I think people see value in sharing their story, and chopping it up, right? Chopping it up.
That's it. That's it.
And you never know who you're gonna help, and I think it's just fun, right? It's a good chance to catch up, bro.
Right.
I want to tell you thank you. Thank you for being a friend, for being an ally, right? A team player, somebody that I've always appreciated you asking me anything you ask me and listening. And very few people, what I say, always did everything I said to do, right? And that's my thought process is, if somebody's ever someone's mentor, I don't mentor people that are telling me no. I just don't got the time for it, right? At the end of the day, I got enough friends. So if we're gonna work together, I need you to try to see where I'm coming from and get after it. And you went from being someone that I was possibly mentoring to not only getting what you needed to get, but going above and beyond and growing even past that scale. Hey, I've got multiple guys that are now CMCs out there in the Navy that were once upon a time younger chiefs working with me. But I'm very proud of you, bro. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud to see what you've done. And I look forward to continuing to watch y'all do great things, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, September 25th, 2026. Mark your calendar, man. Right there in VA.
I got it, man. I got it, man. Got to figure out how to get up to VA, bro. I'm a teacher, dog.
I hear you, man.
We'll figure it out,
it's
bro.
It's a Friday, so
it's a Friday.
Bad, yeah.
We'll figure it out, man. How are you doing a retirement in VA like that? You got a lot of people out there?
Oh, yeah. Most of that old Mooseburger crew's over there in that Delaware VA. Some are down there with you in Florida. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was wondering about that. I was wondering why you picked VA to have your retirement ceremony there.
Because I know a lot of them not gonna fly over here. So.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm sorry, dog. Ain't no one going to no Bahrain, bro.
Yeah.
I was supposed to take the boys to a wrestling event, and it's over there in Dubai. And I'm like, I'm not going to no Dubai to watch no WWE. You crazy, dog. We're gonna watch that on pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, they have it all over here, though, man. They have it all
big
over
time.
here. Yeah,
big time.
Yes, sir.
All right, T, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend, bro. I'll holla at you.
All right, bro. Be good, man. Happy Veterans Day, brother.
Later, bro. Bye, everybody.
And I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. Don't care for the critics, my words are life physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this.